The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by the Toyota Grand Highlander. Life's journey brings constant change filled with exciting surprises and grand challenges. And with its spaciousness, power, and style, the Toyota Grand Highlander is more than a vehicle. It's your partner in embracing all life throws at you. From the spacious adult-sized third row to seating for up to 8 passengers, the Toyota Grand Highlander is up for every grand challenge. Learn more at toyota.com/Grand Highlander. Toyota, let's go places.
So good, so good, so good.
Great gifts for mom? We've got them. And they're up to 60% off at Nordstrom Rack stores now.
You know they have Marc Jacobs?
Gotta show mom some love.
That is so good.
Snag amazing deals on Mother's Day gifts from Barefoot Dreams, Kate Spade New York, and more. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to this edition of There Can Only Be One, the podcast that puts together the all-star best of playlists of your favorite bands and artists, and a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Hello to all of our listeners in Alpharetta, Georgia, and around the world. How you guys doing? All right, we are continuing our trend looking at some Canadian artists. So to all our listeners around the world, we're hoping that we're introducing you to some of these artists that you may or may not be familiar with. But if you're not familiar with this week's artist, then you're probably living under a very, very soundproof large rock, because this week we're talking about Shania Twain. And here to join us, Lyle Robichaud's back on the show. Lyle, how are you doing, man?
I can't wait for this one, Jason. Very excited.
Let's go, Lyle.
Let's go.
Yeah, we're talking about one of the biggest country artists of all time. Like, it baffles the mind when you realize just how many albums she has sold around the world. And this is just, a country girl from Timmins, Ontario.
And it's not just how many albums she sold, but has completely cemented herself as country royalty. If you ask for people's Mount Rushmore of country music, one of the female heads on that mountain is Shania Twain. I'd say Dolly Parton and Shania Twain are on the female Mount Rushmore of country music.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even, crossing all genres of female artists coming out of the Great White North, Shania Twain has to be on that Canadian Mount Rushmore. Along with the likes of Anne Murray's got to be up there as well. Yep. Joni Mitchell's got to be up there. So it would be very interesting. Who would you put on the female artist Canadian Mount Rushmore?
Shania, I think, is the first ballot. Yeah. She's the inaugural class. It's true. I think Anne Murray definitely has to be there.
Oh, there's no question about that at all.
I think there's no question. Yeah, just for historical importance, it has to be Anne Murray. But Shania was a different level of popular at the time. She came around at the perfect time. Arguably the best decade for country music was the 90s. And she had the perfect sound. She knew exactly what the heartbeat was at the time. And she made this is going to be a difficult episode for us because every single album has 2 or 3 timeless classics on it. So this one was probably one of the hardest things you've ever thrown at me to pick just one.
The other interesting thing, too, is that it's probably without argument that the emergence of Shania Twain in the early and mid-90s changed country music.
Absolutely.
For the better.
Her and Garth Brooks changed it from what it was to that 90s. It's almost arena rock at some point with Garth Brooks and Shania Twain. You are kind of dipping into, it's about the performance as much as it is the music, but they had the chops that the music kept up with it. Whole nother level of production, whole nother level of incorporating, like you said, kind of other genres of music into the country formula kind of thing. Revolutionary doesn't even cover it. I can't say enough about Shania Twain. I grew up on Shania Twain. I was the perfect age She started making music right before I was born, and when she hit her peak is when I was just starting to kind of form my own opinions on music. So Shania was my absolute favorite for a long time until I started to kind of develop a more of an ear for myself.
Yeah. And I mean, I will be the first to say that I am not exactly a country music person, but I can appreciate everything that she has done and everything that she has accomplished. And yeah, there are a couple of country songs in my liked songs on Spotify, and Shania's got one of them in there because I play it live, and it's all, no matter what, no matter, you start to play a Shania Twain song, and it doesn't matter what kind of club or bar you're in, people are going to lose their ish.
It gets the people going. As Will Ferrell once famously said, you can't play the first two or three chords of some of her songs, one of which we will get into later, I'm sure, without popping the roof off of the bar. Every bar in New Brunswick I've ever been to played a Shania Twain song at some point in the night.
All right, so here's what we're going to do, dear listeners. We are about to go through 6 studio albums from Shania Twain. As always, we're not covering any live or compilation albums. And this is where Lyle is going to be having some fits throughout the show.
Yeah, I am. We'll get to that, but I'm not. I made a realization halfway through the research for this that we'll go over later that I wasn't happy about.
Oh, no, we can go over it now because we're not covering her 2004 Greatest Hits album.
The 2004 Greatest Hits album has arguably one of her best, if not the best song, Party for Two with Billy Currington. And because it's on a Greatest Hits album, I can't have it as my There Can Only Be One. And that drives me insane because I have the music video for that song permanently imprinted on my brain like a TV screen that had a channel playing for too long. Like, it is in my deep core memories as the music video for Party for Two.
See, this is that moment. And this is why I love the rules of the show, because it creates an interesting discussion. And I hate the rules of the show because this is the Mary Jane's Last Dance. This is, me not being able to pick Burn from The Cure because it was only on a soundtrack. There are songs out there. This is Wheels. This is Wheels from the Foo Fighters.
From the Foo Fighters on the Greatest Hits album. You're 1,000% correct. And I would put Party for Two up there with all of those songs as well.
We're also not covering the Limelight Sessions. This was an album that was released with a lot of her early material, especially when she was known as Eileen Twain. I just can't find it. So I don't want to talk about an album that we can't find and can't listen to. We like to actually listen to the songs. As we get into this 2011 Canadian Music Hall of Fame inductee, let's get the party started. In 1993 was Shania Twain's self-titled album, released April 20th of that year. Peaked at number 28 in Canada and number 67 on the US country album charts, but it did hit number 3 on the UK country charts. It's double platinum in Canada and platinum in the States. There were 3 singles off of this one. What made you say that charted the highest, hitting number 70 on the Canadian country charts and number 55 on the US country charts? So off of this debut studio disc, what did you go with?
Right out of the get-go, extremely difficult to pick a favorite off of this album. And right off the get-go, too, she showcases how much range she had, even though it was only her first album. If you'd listened to this and didn't know the subject matter, you'd swear this was a sophomore or a second or third release because of the production and how good it sounded. Also, one of the hardest album covers of all time. She's standing in the middle of a tundra with a fire and a wolf next to her. It's crazy. But I actually went with one that did not get released as a single, I don't believe. Got a Hold on Me. It's almost got like a bluesy vibe to it, and it kind of leans more into the rock side that she would become famous for later. So off of the debut, I went with Got a Hold on Me.
That's actually on my short list, as well as There Goes the Neighborhood. No, it wasn't released as a single. The 3 songs that were released were You Lay a Whole Lot of Love on Me, Dance with the One That Brought You, and the song that made my pick off of this, What Made You Say That? When you think about this is your first major label studio release, that first song has to be right out of the gate, punch you right in the teeth, 0 questions asked, take no prisoners. What made you say that really does that? And it really does preview a lot of the boppier side of what her career was going to develop into.
It's true. You really That's why I love this so much, because I actually hadn't listened to a lot of the earlier album, the first album, because just none of them got as big as the next two albums we're going to cover. So it was a nice little wow, I actually haven't heard this one before for me. So it was a really nice little journey of kind of the beginning of an artist who would become a legend, basically.
Yeah, you could hear the seeds of the future proper Shania Twain sound.
And you know what's funny? A lot of artists that get as big as her, you see that same pattern kind of. There's a lot of bands, they make their first two albums and then they go away and you don't really see that level of quality again. But I noticed that with artists that get that big in their own genre, their first album sometimes flies under the radar a little bit. And then the second, third, fourth, that's when they really peak up and start to explode through the ceiling.
Yeah, it's got to be hard when your first disc right out of the gate takes over the world, and then you have to follow that up.
And then you got to follow it. Exactly. You have to try to like one up that and then one up it again.
By this point in time, Shania Twain is a seasoned performer. You know, she was doing like dinner theater shows as a singer. And then, of course, there was the sessions that she did with Limelight Records. And that album didn't come out till she became really, really big. So you have someone who's already cut her teeth playing live, writing songs. So like she's a seasoned performer, which is why I think this album sounds not as much like a debut album, but someone who's already found their sound.
It's clean. It sounds clean. That's the right word for it, I think. It sounds very, very, very professional. And it's rare to see a first, especially from that day and age, when it was a very mixed bag for what you would get out of a first, especially out of a country singer. So to have this much energy coming out of a country album in 1992 as well it was a breath of fresh air. I think that's why she got so big in the 90s, because it was that sort of push over the edge of country where it was starting to be like Garth Brooksified a little bit. And like I said before, her and Garth Brooks were really the two to take it and throw it into overdrive a little bit. And you definitely hear the building blocks on this one.
Is anyone out there?
Another salesperson enduring the endless search. Exhausting. If you want to get right to the right conversations, you need LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Whether you're looking for new leads or strengthening existing relationships at your top accounts, get right to the right conversations with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Try LinkedIn Sales Navigator now with a free 60-day trial at linkedin.com/trial. That's linkedin.com/trial.
Terms and conditions apply!
You've heard about the sophomore slump, but there was no slump in this sophomore release. The Woman in Me, released February 7th, 1995. This is the first album produced by her former husband, Robert John Mutt Lang. Hit number 1 on the US, UK, and Canadian country album charts and number 5 on the Billboard 200. Currently sits at number 9 on the US all-time country album charts. It is double diamond in Canada, 12 times platinum in the US, triple platinum in Australia, and platinum in the UK. There were 8 singles off of this one on the Canadian country charts. Whose Bed Have Your Boots Been Under? Any Man of Mine, The Woman in Me, If You're Not In It For Love, You Win My Love, and No One Needs to Know all hit number 1. And on the US country charts, Any Man of Mine, If You're Not In It For Love, You Win My Love, and No One Needs to Know also hit number 1. Whose Bed Have Your Boots Been Under? And Any Man also peaked at number 31 on the Billboard 200. At the 1996 Grammys, The Woman in Me won for Best Country Album. She was also nominated for Best New Artist, but lost to Hootie and the Blowfish.
I am so torn on that, and you know why, because Hootie's one of my favorite bands of all time. Darius, if you ever come across this, I love you, but I'm sorry. You can't hold a candle to the queen of country music. How did that happen?
But also, you want to talk about a stacked 1996 Grammys? Also nominated for Best New Artist that year was Alanis Morissette.
Wow, 2 Canadians that absolutely have a place in history. But yeah, this is an arrival. It's not even an album. This is an arrival and a cultural shift. I had this in 3 different forms, I think, over the course of my life. I know my mom had the CD. We had the cassette version of it at some point, and I have the vinyl of it now. This is like absolute timeless classic of an album if you're a country music fan.
Also, Any Man of Mine was nominated for Best Female Country Vocal Performance at the Grammys, lost to Alison Krauss for Baby Now That I Found You, and it was nominated for Best Country Song, but lost to Vince Gill for Go Rest High on That Mountain. And we were talking about this earlier. These are kind of more classic country kind of vibes. This is the arrival. This is the point where people are now listening to Shania Twain going, oh, country can sound like that.
Yeah, you can put a synthesizer on a fiddle and it works. And it sounds amazing. It doesn't sound like it now because this is basically what country music has become. It's become very produced. It is interwoven into pop music and rock. Everybody that comes out has a new sound kind of. At the time, this was mind-blowing because there were fights over this. People were on the media saying, well, this isn't country at all. This is pop music. It doesn't belong on country radio. As ridiculous as that is to say now with the benefit of hindsight. But this was truly at the time a revolution that was happening.
Well, think about it too. You have to give some credit to producer Robert John Mutt Lang. Keep in mind that around this time, he's producing Bryan Adams. He's producing Def Leppard. And he ported that drum sound, that big drum sound over to the Shania albums. It was tailor-made for what was killing on the radio at the time.
Absolutely. You can I find you can very much hear a lot of the Def Leppard in some of these. In the Mutt Lang releases, you can definitely hear the Def Leppard kind of whispering in the background a little bit.
Well, I mean, if you were to listen to Def Leppard's Adrenalize, and then you would listen to There Goes the Neighborhood from Bryan Adams, you'd be hard pressed. If you don't know those songs, if you heard those two albums for the first time, you could probably jumble up the songs and you wouldn't realize which one was which.
Yeah, it's true. He had a very distinct style.
All right. So Off of the Woman in Me, what did you go with?
Off the Woman in Me. So this was obviously one of the ones that it was a battle between all four of the singles that came out. So I ended up having to go with something that was a personal favorite of mine. Will always be a personal favorite of mine. And I don't know how I'm going to pick the one at the end. I still will tell you right now, I have my one above all kind of not decided as of yet. I went into this episode kind of like, what am I going to do with this a little bit? So I had to go with Whose Bed Have Your Boots Been Under?
Mm-hmm.
Simply because, like I said, when I was a kid, I listened to a ton of Shania, and that was one of my absolute bop songs.
It's a freaking bop, and the violin really kind of sells it for me on this one. And it's funny because when I was getting into this disc, I'm like, oh, it's probably going to end up being Any Man of Mine, even though I'm not a fan of that song.
Really? Why not?
You know what it is? During the verses of that, you have this big stomp clap kind of verse. It's almost like Queen meets country. But then you get this almost key shift into the chorus. It's where are we going now? And then you get back to the verse. It's that feels like two songs scotch taped together. But if you're not in it for love, I'm out of here. This is, to me, the best song on the disc. It's got a good beat, catchy chorus. Feels almost like a little dirty blues bar vibe in the verse. Chord progression in the second half of the chorus is really good ear candy. You get that line, let me make it clear to you, my dear. Almost like the dual harmonies at that point. It's ear candy. The song is complete and utter ear candy. And in my personal opinion, the best single on the disc.
It is. You could pick any of them, and I'm going to tell you you're right, because I signed up for this episode and then realized I am picking the favorite of my children, basically. It's a very difficult situation I found myself in.
I did, though, have Home Ain't Where His Heart Is Anymore on my short list. It's another killer lead-off single, or at least lead-off song off the disc. That's something that she was very good at, making sure that the first song on the disc was one that was going to catch you right off the bat.
It always starts with a bang, and it was really difficult for me to pick No One Needs to Know as well, because just the almost rhythmic vibe to it. No one needs to know. I know how to play that song. It's amazing.
All right, everyone, strap in, because we're gonna need some time on this one. Come on over released November 4th, 1997. Hit number 1 in Australia, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Holland, Iceland, Ireland, New Zealand, Norway, Scotland, and the UK. And hit number 1 on the US country charts and number 2 on the Billboard 200. This album, I can tell you everywhere it's gone platinum, but I'm going to make this simple. This album has sold 40 million copies worldwide. It is double diamond in the States and Canada, 25 times platinum in Australia, and 21 times platinum in New Zealand. How big is that? Let me put it into perspective here. This is, according to Wikipedia, the second biggest selling album of all time in Australia, behind only one disc. And it's not an AC/DC one.
I was going to say Back in Black.
No. The biggest selling album in Australia is Bad Out of Hell by Meatloaf.
Are you wait a minute. Are you serious?
Dead serious.
Bad Out of Hell is the big I'm so confused. Back in Black is the second highest selling album of all time.
But in Australia,
their home country of Australia,
Bad
the
Out of Hell.
highest selling album is Bad Out of Hell.
Yep.
And second is Come On Over by Shania Twain.
Which I'm not surprised by that one.
I'm not surprised by that one either, but I'm shocked by the order of things.
Also, this is the third highest selling album in New Zealand. Number 2, Brothers in Arms by Dire Straits.
Holy crap, this is a mixed bag. All absolute quality, but a mixed bag.
And the number 1 all-time selling album in New Zealand is The Best of ABBA.
Okay, that tracks. You could tell me The Best of ABBA was the number 1 anywhere, and I'd buy that. Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think maybe the biggest thing of this is when you take a look at the all-time album sales in the US. This is the biggest selling album of all time by a female solo artist, period, in the US.
Think about that for a second. You have your Taylor Swifts, you have your Lady Gagas, you have these international megastars that are all from America. But Shania, that had from an album that is 30 years old and that still stands. That is crazy.
In fairness to Taylor Swift, her albums came out in the streaming era.
Yes.
And the LimeWire era, the Napster era.
The LimeWire era. Holy crap. I just felt osteoporosis sink into my body as you said LimeWire.
But I also want to put this into perspective. Aside from the fact that the biggest selling female solo artist in the US, as far as, on an album basis, is a Canadian. The second biggest selling album by a female solo artist in the United States is Jagged Little Pill from Alanis Morissette.
Yeah, we got the market cornered down there.
There were 12 singles off of this one. 12. The album is 16 songs long, and there were 12 singles off of this. On the Billboard 200, You're Still the One charted the highest, only hitting number 2. In Canada, That Don't Impress Me Much charted the highest, hitting number 5. At the 1999 Grammys, You're Still the One won for Best Country Song and Best Female Country Vocal Performance. It was also nominated for both Record of the Year and Song of the Year, but both lost to My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion.
Another Canadian.
And Come On Over was nominated for Album of the Year, but lost to The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, and was nominated for Best Country Album, but lost to Wide Open Spaces by the Dixie Chicks.
Wow, you want to talk about a heavyweight title fight. Dixie Chicks versus Shania Twain. That would be a crazy thing to try to decide for me personally.
1 year later at the 2000 Grammys, Come On Over won for Best Country Song. Man, I Feel Like a Woman won for Best Female Country Vocal Performance. And You've Got Away was nominated for Song of the Year, but lost to Smooth by Santana featuring Rob Thomas.
Oh, I love that song so much.
That's the thing. How many times have we done this show now? And you sit there and you say, they were nominated for this, but they lost to this. Here, they were nominated, but they lost to some pretty damn decent songs.
Some good company. Fortunately for Shania Twain, and this is not a hyperbole by saying it. It's of course difficult in any conversation of any genre of music to go, oh, this is the greatest album of all time. I can't say what's the number one country album of all time, but I can damn sure tell you this is in the top 5. You have so many varying different eras of country music, like Johnny Cash Live from Folsom Prison's on there. I would like to think Chris Stapleton's Traveler album is on there, but this is most definitely in the top 5, if not top 3 best country albums of all time with a bullet. And I know not a lot of people are going to argue with me about that.
You know what's funny? I'm going to argue with you on this one.
Argue with me on this, please.
It's not even my favorite Shania Twain album.
Are you insane, Jason? This is a greatest hits album in everything except for title.
Yeah, but the hits aren't always the best songs. And from a front to back perspective, it's not my favorite album of hers.
When we get to the end, I want to hear which one was your favorite album.
All right. Well, we're talking Come On Over right now. Right now, people are sitting there looking at their phones or at their car stereos going, hell are they smoking up there in Canada? What the hell is this guy saying? But no, I'm going to stick by this. But now we get to our picks. So Lyle, Come On Over. What'd you go with?
This is by far, of all the appearances I've made on your show, the hardest album to pick one song from. We've covered Def Leppard. Me and you have covered Kiss, Hootie and the Blowfish. There is so much on this. It is not even funny. You've got Honey, I'm Home. You've got Rock This Country. You've got Come On Over. Love Gets Me Every Time. Don't Be Stupid. But there is one song that is held in high regard for a goddamn reason. Anywhere in the world. Dun, 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 dun. Everybody's up. Everybody's up. Every female in the building is up when that riff hits. And there's a reason for it. There are timeless classics, and Man, I Feel Like a Woman is. Everything from the song to the music video for it, everything about that song is an absolute banger.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with you. It is. And it's my pick as well.
Of course it is. It is a generational song.
But see, I come at this from a very different perspective, and I get to see the impact of this song every time I play it live. I remember, and this is before I started playing it, and the band was playing out in Kitchener, Ontario, and we're playing this, this pool hall. It's very rocky kind of vibe and all that, and this guy comes up to us in between sets, and he's like, "You guys take requests?" And I'm like, "Well, if we know it, sure, why not?" He's like, "Can you play Man, I Feel Like a Woman? Because that is my jam." And I'm just like, oh, I did not see that coming, but okay, let's try and quickly learn it.
Got good taste. That man's got good taste.
But the funny thing is, I didn't realize how much impact that song had. And it was one of those things where we quickly learned it in between sets and then, butchered our way through it the first time. And then it all of a sudden became a regular, because you saw the instantaneous reaction. You said it perfectly. The minute the guitarist, bam, bam, ba, na, 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 down, the crowd is screaming before you even say the words, "Let's go, girls." This song doesn't matter what town, what kind of bar you're playing, what kind of crowd you're playing in front of. You could literally get up in front of an obituary concert, and the guitars will go, bam, ba, ba, da, 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 and people will be like, "Oh my God, you're doing this, and it's gonna be awesome," right? Like
There are very few songs that opening riff blows the place up. Like, people get excited, but like I said, being from where I'm from, this is still like sacred ground we're treading on, even talking about Shania. Every single time I ever went to a nightclub, a bar, a pub, it didn't matter, like you said, the ambiance. It didn't matter if you were in like kind of a gringy or dive place that was playing top 40 stuff. You could go to the nightclub that's in Fredericton, Club Chrome, which was kind of more Jersey Shore-ish, or Dolan's Pub, which is like the Irish place. They have only live bands playing. If this song played, everybody was going to the dance floor. Everybody likes this song. It is a universal value, we call it in media.
I will say, I think the best way to describe this song is it's not a song, it's a battle cry, and everyone hears it every time.
Yeah, you get that opening fiddle riff. That's all you need. That's all you need to get the party started. It could be a dead room, and you play that first 10-second soundbite, and you have everybody's attention.
I said that Come On Over wasn't my favorite Shania Twain album front to back. As a whole, Up is. Released November 19th, 2002. Hit number 1 in Australia, Canada, Germany, New Zealand, the Billboard 200, and the UK country charts. It is double diamond in Canada, 11 times platinum in the US, triple platinum in New Zealand, Norway, and Switzerland, double platinum in Australia, Germany, and the UK, and platinum in Austria, Brazil, Denmark, France, Japan, Portugal, and Sweden. There were 8 singles off of this. I'm Gonna Get You Good charted the highest, hitting number 1 in Canada. Forever and For Always charted the highest on the Billboard 200, hitting number 20. At the 2004 Grammys, Forever and For Always was nominated for Best Female Country Vocal Performance, but lost to June Carter Cash for Keep on the Sunny Side. Forever and For Always was also nominated for Best Country Song, lost to It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere by Alan Jackson and Jimmy Buffett.
Ooh.
And Up was nominated for Best Country Album, lost to Livin', Lovin', Losin', Songs of the Louvin Brothers. And then 1 year later at the 2005 Grammys, She's Not Just a Pretty Face was nominated for Best Female Country Vocal Performance, but lost to Redneck Woman by Gretchen Wilson.
That's a throwback. Oh my goodness.
And Coat of Many Colors with Alison Krauss and Union Station, which is their cover of a Dolly Parton song, was nominated for Best Country Collaboration with Vocals, lost to Portland, Oregon by Loretta Lynn and Jack White, which is a combination I never thought I'd hear, but somehow I think it would actually work. So off of Up, actually, let me address the elephant in the room here. Okay. Come On Over is a monumental landmark album. No denying it. And has some of the most iconic songs of Shania Twain's career. From a kick back and listen and have a vibe all the way through the album, this is the album that has the biggest short list that I have. My short list is I'm Gonna Get You Good, She's Not Just a Pretty Face, Forever and For Always, Nah, I'm Jealous, Ain't No Particular Way was almost my pick. But I'm going with the leadoff single. I'm going with Up. It's a bop. It's uplifting. This is one of the biggest things to why I think Shania Twain was so big. Most of her lyrics are upbeat and positive and empowering. Like, this is a good vibe, good times kind of songwriter.
She is. There's not a lot of sad stuff, which is, again, very different for country music. They say you play a country song backwards, you get your whole life back together, because most songs are about everybody losing everything. Shania's not like that. And I do think that speaks to her popularity, because it is much more happy, upbeat. You can dance and you can party to it, versus other country music artists, like I said before, Johnny Cash, who is depression in a human form. Amazing. a god of music, but very, very sad, both personally and musically.
Yeah, play that country song backwards and your girl comes back, your dog's back from the dead, and your truck's out of the shop.
Yeah, there's actually a really good Rascal Flatts song called Play a Country Song Backwards. It's very funny.
Oh, God, now I have to hear that song.
You do. It's really good. You get your house back, you get your dog back, your best friend Jack back. It's really good.
And the beer fridge is full. All right, so off of Up, what did you go with?
I had a long short list for this one, too. My second place is actually C'est La Vie.
Okay.
I really like that song. That's a good kind of underrated hit by her. But again, I got to go back to the childhood. It's I'm Gonna Get You Good. I remember sitting there's a pub in my hometown called the Station House. And back when it was open, the first time, I vividly remember several times sitting there and watching CMT, I'm Gonna Get You Good playing. And there's the music video where she's on a motorcycle in like a cyberpunk city running away from things. And it's burned into my brain. So with childhood nostalgia on my side, I have to go with I'm Gonna Get You Good.
With childhood nostalgia is not, Shania Twain jumping around in hockey jerseys to Up?
It is and it isn't. It is and it isn't. This one just speaks to me because of, like I said, I have so many memories associated with it. If we're going by the best music video, it's still Man, I Feel Like a Woman.
Oh, absolutely.
That is, like, I would say, in one of the best music video Hall of Fames too.
Yeah, there's a lot though. Like her music video direction was so good.
This woman doesn't miss.
Yeah.
She just doesn't miss. There's no missing.
Well, people missed her because it took 15 years for the release of Now. Released September 29th, 2017. This is her first album post her divorce from Robert John Mutt Lange. So Robert John Mutt Lange is no longer producing the album. Hit number 1 in Australia, Canada, Scotland, the UK, and the US, and is platinum in Canada. So keep in mind, too, this is a different time, right? Everyone's streaming everything now. So this is where the album sales drop. You're never going to have an artist that comes out and is able to sell 40 million albums worldwide anymore. It just doesn't happen that way.
No, it's true. And before we even get into this, I'm just going to say I've had this on my notes since the beginning. Mutt Lange's fumble of the century. Let's just say that. Fumble of the century. To somehow end up not married to Shania Twain anymore. What is wrong with you, sir? How do you end up in that life situation?
There are bad choices, but it worked out for Shania in the end.
It did. It did.
There were 2 singles off of this one. Life's About to Get Good charted the highest, hitting number 26 on the Canadian country charts. So off of this Return to Glory, what'd you go with?
I actually went with the single that charted the highest. Life's About to Get Good, I think really speaks to her past work. It sounds very similar to the Shania of old, and I do think this whole album is very good. It really captures that lightning in a bottle again. I don't think she missed much of a step in the time she was away.
No. You can hear in her vocals, there's a bit more of a smoky siren sound to this album.
There's like a rasp to it almost, I want to say.
But I mean, that also comes with, overcoming Lyme disease. And like she went through a lot in those 15 years.
That was a big gap. And it wasn't just I'm stepping away and I don't know when I'll be back. There was trials and tribulations to that return.
But the songs fit the voice that she's singing with now. And I think that's the thing. They were written for this Shania Twain, not for 1993 Shania Twain. I had Swinging With My Eyes Closed, great comeback song. Light of My Life, Poor Me, I'm All Right, and More Fun in my short list. But I'm going with a song that wasn't released as a single. I'm going with Soldier.
Oh, that was on my short list.
Yeah.
That one and More Fun was on my short list.
The strings. I mean, this song, and I don't know how many times I've mentioned this on the show, this song is a movie unto itself.
Yeah,
you could almost picture the story. You could cast the story here, like a very black and white kind of moody kind of post-war drama kind of thing. It's a fantastic song.
You Can't Buy Love was also on my short list as well.
Yeah, when it comes to slow songs, she knew what she was doing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And what I like about her, would have been very easy to go away for that amount of time, come back and put it on easy mode. Couple really, pop friendly hits, top 40 sounding stuff. But just like everything else she did, there's a wide range of sounds on here. There's a bunch of different tempos. They go from kind of up to down, sad to happy, slow to quick. It isn't the safe bet that many people in her position could have taken to make the most money. There was artistry behind this. It wasn't just, let's pump out 10 easy songs and make a bunch of money, which unfortunately a lot of people that are in her position in 2017 were in. I've been gone for a long time. Let's just pump out an easy album, collect $200 for pass and go world tour. Everybody goes home happy. There was some effort put into this to try to recapture the magic a little bit. And I think they hit the nail right on the head.
Yeah. And again, you're writing songs for where your range is at that point too. I mean, take a look at Bon Jovi. They're still putting out albums to this day, but they're writing songs for John Bon Jovi's vocal range at this point because you have to. He's not going to write another, You Give Love a Bad Name. He's not going to write another Bad Medicine because his voice isn't there. Shania Twain's voice matured and got into this very chanteuse kind of vibe.
Yeah, very, very much so. The sound aged with her, which not a lot of artists are smart enough to do that.
Yeah.
Because you do see some artists that try really hard to try to be, I got to be what I was in the 80s, and it's just not there anymore kind of thing.
No, she evolved with the times. The sound evolved with her, and it sounds like a cozy fit.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Cozy.
Queen of Me, released February 3rd, 2023, hit number 1 in Australia and Scotland and the UK, and number 2 in Canada. There were 2 singles off of this one. Giddy Up charted the highest, hitting number 43 on the Canadian country charts. So this is the last album of this run so far. What did you go with off of Queen of Me?
Queen of Me, I think it's the newest one, so it's got a little bit of recency bias. I think this kind of is at a level playing field with the album we just talked about. It kind of stays that same vibe and keeps going, but this one is a little bit slower in a way. It feels like it's more kind of chill based. I went with Got It Good. I thought it was a really good fit for her. It was definitely the best one on this particular album. A second place was Pretty Liar, though. I did very much like Pretty Liar.
I had Brand New and Waking Up Dreaming on my short list, but I ended up going with Last Day of Summer off of this one.
Wow.
And to me, this kind of falls into that later Candlebox vibe where you have kind of a top down on the convertible, end of summer, drive through the open prairies kind of vibe to it. This is a song that I could easily hear a full production or even an acoustic vibe. This to me might be her most, for lack of a better analogy, her most good Taylor Swift-esque kind of song.
Yeah, that makes sense. That tracks. It very much tracks. And Taylor Swift wishes she could be Shania Twain, but I'm not going to go there because I'll have the pitchforks and torches after me, but I don't care.
Oh, we've done the Taylor Swift discography on this show. And I mean, that was a journey. There was another artist, though, that definitely evolved with the times.
Oh, she did. Musical genius. Branding genius. Don't get me wrong. Respect the game. Respect the middle finger to the record labels as well.
Oh, yeah, no, like you cannot deny Taylor Swift planted her flag in the ground and did it her way, exactly like Shania did.
I was about to say, but I would argue that the blueprint for that was this woman, was Shania Twain.
All right, so now that we've had our knockdown, drag-out fight for these 6 albums, Lyle, you said you hadn't had a song picked as your only one, so I'm gonna give you a moment here. I'm just gonna tell everyone what we're gonna do first, so you have a little bit more time to flip that coin.
It's hard. It's hard, Jason. It makes me sad to do this. I don't like it.
So please remind our listeners what your picks are from the 6 albums from Shania Twain's discography, and if there can only be one Shania Twain song, well, what's it gonna be?
Off her debut album, which still has the best album cover she ever did, Got a Hold on Me, From the Woman in Me, Whose Bed Has Your Boots Been Under, From Come On Over, Man, I Feel Like a Woman, From Up, I'm Gonna Get You Good, From Now, Life's About to Get Good, and from Queen of Me, Got It Good. And I really tried to avoid doing this because I hate going into one of these episodes. Well, the biggest song is probably going to be my One Above All, but do I want to get artsy and try to say no, this is easy. I said I wasn't going to, but it's Man, I Feel Like a Woman. Are you kidding me? I go crazy when I hear that at a bar. All of my friends can attest to that. And I just don't think there's any other song you can put on there. If someone somehow out there in the universe has never heard of Shania Twain, and what's the one song you're going to give to them to get the vibe encapsulated, it has to be Man, I Feel Like a Woman.
Well, in fairness, you also can't pick Party for Two, so.
Yeah, and that honestly would probably be the one I would have picked, but unfortunately, because of your damned rules, but at the same time, I cheated on the Tarzan episode with them, so this will be my payback for the cheating on the Tarzan episode.
Fair. All right, so off of the Shania Twain self-titled album, I went with What Made You Say That. From The Woman in Me, I went with If You're Not In It for Love, I'm Out of Here. From Come On Over, I went with Man, I Feel Like a Woman. Off of Up, I went with Up. From Now, I went with Soldier, and from Queen of Me, I went with Last Day of Summer. And to quote our friend Carson Elcombe, who has done Grading on a Curve with us a few times and has suffered through all those movies, I'm going to take a quote from him and say, yep, I'm going to be the basic bitch. Yeah. I'm going with Man, I Feel Like a Woman. And again, this is one of those things where it takes a lot for me to get into a country song. There are very few country songs on my liked songs in Spotify. This is one of them because I had to learn it and play it, but you connect to a song when you play it. The only other country song that made my liked songs was Not Ready to Make Nice by the Chicks.
Wow, you have great taste if you're only picking 2, because those are 2 amazing songs.
Oh, it's fantastic. And if you haven't seen the Shut Up and Sing documentary, from the chicks, you need to see it.
My mother was a music teacher. I have seen that documentary an uncomfortable amount of times. I'm pretty sure it's one of my mom's favorite movies of all time. So it's an amazing documentary. The Dixie Chicks, that's another episode we really got to put on our radar as well.
Oh, absolutely. All right, Lyle, thank you so much for this. Now, please remind our listeners where they can find you out there on the interwebs and what you've been up to.
You can find me at Lyle.R11 on Instagram, and I'm working at Anthem Sports and Entertainment, so always watch your TNA Wrestling every Thursday night, and you can find me at any bar that's playing Man, I Feel Like a Woman.
Which usually has me on stage playing Man, I Feel Like a Woman,
Usually,
so we're good.
Yes.
All right, dear listeners, you guys know the drill. If there's an artist that you want us to cover on There Can Only Be One, or an album that you want us to cover on Spin Shuffle Skip, hit us up on social media at OnlyOneCast, or go to our website at notthatbadcast.com. And while you're there, make sure you subscribe to the webpage so when we put new posts up, you get notified immediately. Until next time, he's Lyle, I'm Jay, you guys are awesome. This is There Can Only Be One, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.